By the time the Second World War ended, neither the Bell nor its team of scientists and developers resurfaced. They all simply disappeared. SS General Hans Kammler, who was the one in charge of the Third Reich's secret projects, didn't resurface since. And there is more to this. When the Second World War ended, a lot of former Nazis were tried at war crime tribunals. They were charged of crimes against humanity and violations of human rights. Among the defendants was a former Nazi SS Obergruppenführer, one of the highest commissioned Nazi SS ranks. His name was Jakob Sporenberg. While the Allied army was on its way to the village of Ludwigsdorf, now called Ludwikowice, the officer of the Waffen-SS, Karl Sporenberg, by direct order of Hitler, had carried out the execution of 62 Nazi scientists, engineers, and technicians who had worked on the project Die Glocke. The idea was to keep everything about the technology a secret from the outside world.
It's very strange what I will say, but most of the stories connected with the Second World War are irrelevant, are just a past and not convey to us anything. But this is the one exception which may tell us something valuable for the future. I think that the explaining of this riddle of the Glocke is a key to the understanding of certain modern aspects of our reality. I will not tell you how I came to such a conclusion, but in my opinion, let me just stay at this point, and it's just a copy of the anti-gravity propulsion, and that's what it's all about.
It was Sporenberg's affidavit that would later give us the clue to how this highly advanced technology sounded. According to Sporenberg's affidavit, the Bell was a highly advanced device that produced a hissing or buzzing sound when operational. He noted that, because of the sound, his fellow Germans referred to the Bell as der Bienenstock, the German word for beehive. But why did they create this contraption? In the book, Witkowski explains that the goal of the campaign was to generate anti-gravity propulsion, which is why they found it fastened to the ground with large chains.
I don't know what happened to Kammler. I don't know. I'm not sure, so I will not say anything about it. But perhaps, along with Kammler, perhaps. But the project was just... There was no continuation after the war. As far as I know, I didn't find any credible information that would suggest that the project or the scientific theories that I mentioned, that it was developed after the war. It just has ended and was interrupted, and I think that the world will come back to this someday.
In addition, his theory maintains that this weapon was lethal for any living being that was in a radius of 200 meters after activation. In the writings, he talks about his creation process, loaded with tragedy. 5 of the 7 members of the team led by physicist Walter Gerlach died during the tests. The data on which the journalist's investigation is based comes from a military man and not from a scientist, so the information is somewhat confusing. The Bell is activated when the tubes turn in the opposite direction to each other. This vortex would cause a separation of the magnetic fields of the superconductors used. This data was recorded by the Polish secret agent military, who provided the documents to the journalist, from whom he could only take a few notes. So there is no material evidence of the existence of this Nazi campaign. There are also those who believe that the Bell was moved to the Arctic Circle and/or South America after their top scientists were executed. Some also believe that work was continued on the Bell after the Second World War, after the Nazi leaders developed UFO technologies that allowed them to communicate with pro-Nazi extraterrestrial beings.
It doesn't seem possible for me that any SS officers which were brought to the United States could reveal such a secret. Because first of all, the Operation Paperclip was very small, and as far as I know, no SS officer was brought to the United States in the frames of the Operation Paperclip. There were other operations as well, but nevertheless, I don't think it's possible. The rule was such that in such projects that only very few people, really few, knew the entire picture. All others knew only the elements and not necessarily knew the purpose of the entire project. They could not know that. They certainly didn't know. And if you eliminate certain crucial persons and only, let's say, 2 were left, then it's possible to keep it secret.
More and more reports are surfacing as it continues to gain fresh awareness. Historians say that there is probably no weapon of time travel, such as Die Glocke, and this is due to unverified conspiracy theories. And, of course, scientists still believe that traveling through time is impossible. Yet, every day, we see signs that there are so many secret works deliberately hidden from the public. This is a story not suitable for skeptics that undoubtedly brings us closer to a dark age, not only because of what happened, but also because of all that remains to be discovered about what really happened.